Okay, so it's automatically recording. Aha! That was the problem a couple of weeks ago. All right. Hey, look who's back!
Hey, I'm back.
It's that guy that does that stuff on the show.
Yes.
Sometimes.
I do the talking sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes they do the talking.
Yes, that's also true. All right, welcome to the Ballistic Missionaries. Well, both of the Ballistic Missionaries are back, and you don't have to listen
The
to
band
me
is
blabbering all day.
The band is reunited.
All right. So, Dan, how was Richmond, Virginia this weekend?
Hot. Extremely hot. There was a heat wave going on down there, and Friday was the worst, where it went up into the 90s. It was not pleasant. But the show itself was nice. I got to hang out with Brett and JT and Enrique and the crew, and we put on a successful show.
Awesome. That's cool. If you didn't get a chance to stop in and say hi, you missed a fun time.
Yes, you did. If you didn't, I probably held up a obnoxious sign up you, and you deserved it.
All right. So today we're talking about healthcare, a subject that we've been planning to talk about for like a month and a half and have not gotten around to. But before we do that, let's work on our favorite segment. What stupid shit did the Trump administration do this week? Well, not only did Trump call the entire country of the United States of America stupid and a bunch of suckers, which, yeah, that's the reason why he's president, because enough of us are stupid and a bunch of suckers. But also, he has now accepted a $400 million gold-plated interior jet from Saudi Arabia.
Well, when put to the fires about it by the press, when press is left, he basically answered that they're fake news, and and
it was for all of the American people.
Where's my free plane rides?
Yeah, right.
How does it not look like a down payment on a bribe? That's basically all I have to say.
Yeah.
How anyway does the American public get to do it? And basically, after Trump steps down from office,
which is questionable at this point.
Yeah, then the plane is supposed to be donated to his museum, if I'm understanding this correctly.
Which is also hilarious. Trump having a museum
and casino.
Who can imagine that? That's what's going to be in the museum. Yeah. But come on, what are they going to do with this thing? I love the funniest thing about all of this is about how everybody's comparing it to the Statue of Liberty. It's like, okay, but the president never lived in the Statue of Liberty, nor did he take it around the world. And it had to be accepted by a joint act of Congress, which it was. This plane was not. But also, apparently, Saudi Arabia just didn't want it and was trying to offload it because it's an albatross. And who the fuck wants this thing? So they threw it at
like, ooh, that's sexy.
Yeah.
It's gold-plated and gigantic, and I can put my logo all over it. I'm going to love it. It's going to be America's gift to me by Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm. Brought to you by the same people who funded the 9/11 terror attacks on the United States, by the way.
I like the word Arabia because it sounds like labia.
Oh, I don't think Trump knows what labia is. He's one of those guys that calls the entire area just a vagina.
Yeah. I love vaginas. Occasionally
I do not love vagina, but I love vagina. Do you see the difference there?
I love paying a lot of money to stick my penis in one of them. Which I paid for hundreds. Only the finest vaginas for me.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So that was all I could dig up this week, but I forgot to look for it before we started filming. So I did that right as we were about to start. So I'm sure there's a lot of stupid shit that Trump has done this week because it's a normal week in his administration. So.
I like to talk about doing my stupid.
The head of the Health and Human Services Department took his grandchildren swimming in raw sewage. So that was also happened.
Yeah, this was in Rock Creek. I'm from the D.C. metro area. I've walked through Rock Creek Park many a time. And you want to know what I never did? Is go swim in the creek. Or in Pennsylvania, the creek.
Crick. That's what we call
But
it.
we call it the creek down in.
Because they don't know how to pronounce things in DC. Anyway.
Now with your colloquial flair.
Anyway,
But yeah.
tell us about the crick.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you about the creek. There's a small body of water that runs through the DC metro area, and people, there's usually bike paths, and it's very scenic to look at, but I wouldn't go swimming in there because sewage also, eventually winds up there. Human sewage, and there's photo evidence of both him and his grandchildren playing in it, and this is the man that runs Health and Human Services. Oh, also, the man went down on record, I believe, here this week or very recently, saying that he is not a man that should be trusted.
That is right.
For healthcare advice.
He was at a congressional hearing and answered that people should not look to him for healthcare advice.
Well, here's my take on that. That it's
so maybe somebody else should be in his job.
If he's not a medical professional that to run Health and Human Health and Human Services, that's one thing. But as the head of Health and Human Services, if he does not have that knowledge, he should have access to people who do have that knowledge, and then he should be able to relay that to the public.
But here's the question: has he fired them? Has Doge fired them?
No.
I honestly don't know.
I mean,
I'm assuming the people.
He is the definition of redundant, which I guess would, redundancy would be waste, which would be that, waste thing that they're trying to get rid of. But
he's a whole lot of waste.
Yeah, he is definitely.
He's so
human
dumb.
waste.
He murdered the brain worm in his head with his dumb.
And then threw it in Chappaquiddick. Oh, I went there. Sorry, Teddy fans.
Yeah. At least he tried to redeem himself and didn't get more terrible as he got older.
No, it was just that one murder.
It was pretty bad, though.
So
how can you really redeem yourself? Yeah. Anyway. Oh, there is also some sad news on the former presidential front. I'm sure everyone out there has heard this already, but Joe Biden has been diagnosed with prostate cancer that has metastasized to his bones. So that's pretty fucking bleak.
I mean, I won't come out and say that on the one side that I don't want any human being to suffer, no matter
and
how evil or I don't think Biden was evil on the level of, say
Trump,
Hitler,
Musk.
Right.
He did some really fucked up things in his political career, and including, when he was president. But nobody deserves to go through the hell that he's about to go through.
I from a basic humanitarian perspective, I do not want any human being to unnecessarily suffer. Anybody from the Pope to a murderer on death row. I do want anybody on that spectrum to suffer. I don't want Joe Biden to suffer.
Pretty awful.
This might be a controversial take. I don't believe, I believe strongly in euthanasia becoming a thing. If you're being somebody that has seen loved ones and family members suffer slowly and die
horribly,
I do not want to see that befall any human being whatsoever. Now,
it's pretty rough, and it's been pretty tough to see leftists who I tend to share a lot of beliefs with be like, "Oh, he fucking deserves it for what he did with Gaza," and people on the right saying, "Oh, he's just an asshole. He fucking deserves it." No, nobody fucking deserves.
The term genocide Joe is getting thrown around, and I'll say that his policy on Gaza was
not great.
It was too little, too late.
It was also fairly criminal. In his support of Israel.
Again, that being said, he is a human being. I do not want to see any human being suffer unnecessarily, and that includes him.
It's been crappy to watch. It's been crappy to see, like you are, how can you call out human suffering for one group of people and then turn around and laugh at the suffering of another person. You know, your lack of compassion is very objective, and that kind of makes it worse. It's like you know, it doesn't have to be either or. You know, it's just, I think it's crappy.
Visiting cruelty on others just continues the cycle.
Yeah, it does. So stop being a crappy person if you're getting some kind of kick out of this.
Yeah.
You're sick. Go fuck yourself.
I mean,
cancer is the worst fucking thing on the planet. Like, it's one of the worst fucking things.
I mean, if we want to go visit back to like somebody else that that died in the last couple of years, and like, I'll go with Kissinger. It's like, you know, Kissinger was a horrible human being.
Oh wait, hold on. We're reconnecting. Fucking stream went down. All right, we are back. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, Henry Kissinger. That's
again. He was a terrible human being.
He was a war criminal
and a war criminal.
Pretty big war criminal.
Go on trial in The Hague, but he didn't, and he died somewhat peacefully in his sleep. Probably from some sort of long illness. But do I want to see him suffer either? No. Like, no. From the basic human being, I don't want to see a human being.
I will say that I found it hard that he collapsed governments and destroyed so many people's lives in horrible ways, but he got to die quietly in his sleep.
Yeah.
That is hard.
And a large degree of comfort.
Yeah. But I wasn't like, yay, I hope he suffered.
Yeah.
I make jokes about him being in hell, but that's different because hell doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Cancer does, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So,
that's an excellent segue into our main topic.
Yes, healthcare. Healthcare in this country is a fucking joke. It's a giant swamp of bullshit. Episode over.
Yeah.
No, don't disconnect. Oh, our one viewer disconnected. Oh, I was kidding. Oh my God.
You suck one guy that went away.
So Dan and I both have health problems. I would consider myself disabled. Would you consider yourself disabled?
No, but I haven't been diagnosed as somebody that qualifies as disabled. I mean, I guess I can go about things normally. I have, you know, some health issues, but I empathize with those that are disabled and those that, like, anybody that has to navigate the healthcare system in this country, whether it be through paid insurance through their place of employment, or like us through Medicaid,
We're
or
both
through
on Medicaid,
or through people, or the elderly through Medicare, or any system,
or disabled people through Medicare.
Medicaid. Or those people that can't seem to get any of it anywhere.
Yeah. And if I get kicked off of Medicaid, that's going to be me.
Yeah.
Because I can't afford the ACA, even though finally it is open to me to be able to purchase health insurance, which for a long time it wasn't. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the history of healthcare in the Western world. I mean, I guess
it wasn't for a long time.
It wasn't, though. I'll give.
Yeah, we disconnected again. Fuck. All right, we're back. But for how long?
Yes, that's the question. Like our healthcare system, but God, I would say certain feudalistic practices at least had a more community-based bit. Like, as the healthcare they were getting was, literally medieval. But within that, you did have people that within the community was designated to, whether it be through things like midwives or apothecaries or other.
Once in a while, healers on the outskirts of town that eventually would be burned as witches.
Yeah, you had some sort of community-based healthcare for the peasantry and the poor folk. be it as it is. It's not. Was it great? No.
But to be fair, nobody really had great
No.
health care.
Yeah. Even your feudal lords
Yeah.
had ranging, like, depending on how well versed the science was. And again,
Hello, my lord. I have brought you a toad.
Yeah.
Lick it. You will feel better.
Yeah.
And then he's just spaced out
Yeah.
for the remainder of the illness, and he comes out of it feeling great.
But I guess with
the colors. Oh, give this man a raise.
But I can only say the rise of both.
Wait, we're down again. We're up again.
There are
God.
The two factors, industrialization and the rise of modern capitalism, brought forth, I guess, a private.
Let's skip to like more modern times. Let's skip to the 1900s.
Okay. I guess at that point you still had, like I said, not really no health care, but I guess to a certain degree no health care. But I mean, you could go you could go broke back then for not having health care, or not. There was no such thing as, I guess, health insurance as we know it.
There's no health insurance. There's also no workers' comp. So if you got your arm cut off and couldn't work, well, I guess you're gonna starve on the streets.
Yeah. It was injury or catastrophic illness basically took you to the poorhouse or out on the streets.
Yeah, or you'd have to sell your children.
And I guess at that point, you started to have bits of things like health insurance come about. I want to say as early as the 30s, elements of things that would become health insurance would rise. But then you have to kind of go into the 70s to have something that resembles what we have today, which is... basically your HMOs, your PPOs, the privatized,
the criminals that run privatized healthcare.
Yeah, in this country. I mean, I guess at the same time that's happening about 20 years earlier. Most European nations and most quote unquote industrialized nations go to a public healthcare, or at least some sort of public-private, if not a public health care system.
What we would call it in this country, if it ever happened, Medicare for all, basically.
Or universal health care. A universal health care system starting anywhere from the 1930s to the 1950s, depending on which country you're going to. And those countries today seem like... I'm not saying those countries are perfect, or their healthcare systems are perfect, but if you ever tried to take it away from any of those countries, there would be a public uproar.
Oh, they have gone on no work strikes where they're just like, fuck y'all. We're staying home. Give us back our health care.
Yeah.
You know what? That's the way to do it.
Yeah. I guess look at things like France and Germany.
I would say Scandinavian countries. I want to say that was Sweden that did that.
Yeah. But over here in the 70s, Nixon met with his advisors and with members of what would be Kaiser Permanente. I think it was just Kaiser back then, but don't quote me.
I think you're right. I think it was
Kaiser. And they set up what would be the private healthcare system that we have. We had from the 70s up until Obamacare, and we still have in a large...
the basic structure that has gone through time that as we know it today.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was anybody that goes at a time between that and when, like, say, Obamacare, and even beyond Obamacare, like, basically, for those who are watching us...
It's not even about the history, like, it's about... I don't know. For me, it's not just about the numbers. It's about, there are people in this country who push back against everyone getting health care. Like, health care is a privilege which makes them sound like being alive is a privilege, and they don't deserve to be alive if they can't afford health care. So it's like the problems are just greed and inhumanity, in my opinion.
I would say it breaks it into two camps. One's that like your Sanders lefty types that believe that healthcare is a right, and the other camp, mainly on your Republican, conservative, right wing, that believe it is a commodity. And again, like you said there, I look at it this way: you can come up with any bullshit reason that you want, but if you don't believe in universal health care, you believe that somebody has not worked enough, hard enough,
Yeah.
or has not earned the right to not
Be alive.
to be alive and not be in pain and suffering.
Yeah. Or die. That is a fucked up stance to take.
Yeah, but I mean, like, basically the way the healthcare system works in this country, to a large part since the 70s, is you pay a health insurance premium unless you fit into like you're elderly or super poor,
or you're on disability,
or you're on disability.
And usually, well, see, that's the thing. If you can get it through your employer, which a lot of places don't offer it these days, they don't offer the hours to be considered a full-time employee in order to get health insurance. So problem number one. And number two, if you try to buy it yourself up until the Affordable Care Act, you could be turned down for having pre-existing conditions, which is a buzzword saying, oh no, we actually have to pay money to get you health care instead of you just paying us and us stealing your money.
They want the healthy young people to offset the quote unquote the old and infirm. Again, it's driven on a business model, and basically, when it's driven for profit, and the end goal is not health care.
It's money.
It's the profit motive, and it's pleasing your investors.
Yeah,
the investors is who those companies are trying to please, and it's not taking care of their customers, or patients, as they should be called.
Yeah. But I mean, oh boy, where do we want to go with this? Oh, okay, workers' compensation. Well, as some of you know, I work part-time at the library, which is a cool job, but I also work full-time, and I have for 12 and a half years in the workers' compensation sphere. So I've spent 12 and a half years listening to people get kicked off of their employer-sponsored healthcare or get screwed out of things because of ridiculous bullshit. I've listened to people who need like a couple of grand worth of treatments who can't get it because the insurance company would rather spend 2 and 3 times that on a team of lawyers to fight this person instead of just paying them. It's pretty screwed up. But, if it's good that it's there, because, if you got hurt at work and you can't work and there is no such thing as workers' compensation, you're pretty much out of luck. I mean, even the people that have to fight to get it, it's better. Oh, I lost my train of thought. I didn't want to do this today. I wanted to take a nap instead. But like I said, we've been putting this off for a while. So workers' compensation, it's important. It's still screwed up because insurance companies literally will pay thousands of dollars for legal representation instead of just taking care of a person's medical bills or letting them stay home and, recuperate. But if we didn't have that system set up, you get hurt at work, you destroy your back, and you can't move. Well, sorry, you're going to starve and die on the street without workers' compensation. There are systems set up in place where, that will not happen generally. In the past 5-6 years, I'd say, there's been a lot of people who have been outright homeless, who've been couch surfing, staying with relatives. I hear constantly at my job, I got kicked out of my apartment. I have nowhere to go. I'm staying on my friend's couch or my cousin's couch, because they have to know where to send notices and stuff. So we get into talking about addresses, and it's like you hear so often, I had to find a lawyer because my job isn't doing what they're supposed to do. They're hiring an insurance company and a bunch of lawyers to give me the runaround. But to not have it in any regard, like all systems in this country, it is flawed, but it is very much needed. So yeah, but there's always going to be defense lawyers who are like, get someone on the stand and nitpick everything that they do and sometimes insult them. I had a lawyer who tried to bring up the green card argument for a guy who was from Guam and thought he had a big gotcha because the guy from Guam didn't have a green card. Yeah.
I might not be versed in my geography, but I believe Guam,
for those of you who don't know what Guam is,
Islands and American Samoa are all part of dominions or territories of the United States. Yeah,
or Washington D.C.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
that's what one semester of community college was.
I have heard lawyers terrorize people on the stand who are just like, I've got like $2,000 in medical expenses. I just want paid off. That's what you're making being at this hearing, making me cry on the stand because I have a legitimate injury and my employers are a bunch of assholes. And the HR department, who, by the way, don't trust your HR department. They do not work for you. They work to keep the company happy. And if they need to throw you under the bus, they'll do it. Especially at a hearing where they are under oath. I've heard it 100 times. Makes me mad every single time. Don't trust the HR department. But anyway, so workers' compensation, definitely a necessary evil. And you know what? It does help people sometimes. It does help people. It's flawed just like the rest of the judicial system in this country, but it is absolutely and totally an important aspect to have. Because you know what? If you get hurt doing work for someone else, they should help you get better.
And like Sue was saying earlier, the companies on their end have an entire. Well, but that people will tell me, like, I can handle things on a one-on-one basis because it's just between me and the employer. It's like, no, it's not between you. It's
definitely not.
You on your side maybe have like one lawyer that is.
If you get a lawyer.
If you can get a lawyer.
I have a lot of people who are like, I don't want a lawyer.
Or they can't afford a lawyer.
Actually, in workers' compensation, everyone can afford a lawyer because the lawyer will take the case and have you sign what's called a contingent fee agreement, which means that if they win the case, they will get 20%, across the board. Some may charge less, some do charge less, but it's at the most 20% across the board for whatever benefits they get you. So if you are injured, do not worry about affording an attorney. You don't need to pay them a retainer or anything like that.
If the lawyer asks for it up front, then
that's not the lawyer you want to go to.
No. But on one side, you have your one lawyer. On their side, they have a team of lawyers. They have a legal department. They have an HR department
that has their own lawyers.
So they have possibly anywhere between a half a dozen and 2 dozen people working on their side to make sure their ass is covered. So don't ever tell things. The same thing with
same thing with unions. Yeah,
I don't need representation. The hell you don't, because it's not a one-sided fight.
No,
like Mr. Miyagi said, 1-on-1 problem, fine. 5-on-1 problem, more problem than any one man can handle.
Exactly.
I'm probably misquoting that, but
it's something like that. Anyway, so
look into Obamacare.
Yes, the ACA comes along.
Thanks, Obama.
And everybody has fucking problems with it because they're idiots and Obama put in it. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the complaints of it, but the ACA revolutionized healthcare in this country because you could no longer not get healthcare for pre-existing conditions. And now I've been dealing with pre-existing conditions, which literally in any other country with sensible healthcare is just by medical history. But I've been dealing with pre-existing conditions since I became an adult and before. So I remember after I got off of my dad's health care after I dropped out of college, I remember getting turned down by 5 different insurance companies in the same week. So I just didn't have insurance for years because no one would cover me. So, and this was the story for millions of people in this country, millions, because, the insurance companies don't want to have to actually spend money on you. They want to take your money, but not give you anything in return. That's why they turn you down. So the ACA comes out, they make it that pre-existing conditions are no longer standing in the way of anybody not being able to get health care. It was amazing. I still couldn't afford it, but the point was, I could get it. If I could afford it, I could get health insurance. I couldn't afford it, so I didn't get it. But that wasn't the point. Obviously, it was a step in the right direction, and it was by itself not great because there were a bunch of Republicans who were doing their best to destroy it and are still doing their best to destroy it. But it was a step in the right direction. Anything you want to add about ACA?
Yeah, 2 things. One, made me think of if you ever guys get a chance, there's a great movie called The Rainmaker that was directed by Coppola.
That's Kazuchika Okada. That's the wrong episode.
Huh?
Kazuchika Okada.
No,
that's on Fridays.
No,
we talked about them on Fridays.
The other Rainmaker.
Sorry.
It's a movie called The Rainmaker. It was directed by Coppola, based on I believe it was a John Grisham novel.
Oh, yeah, that is John Grisham.
It's probably one of my favorite.
James Patterson?
No, it's Grisham. It's Grisham. It was probably one of my favorite Grisham adaptations. I have never read any of the books, but I've seen a few of the movies, and that was probably my favorite one. It's about the health insurance industry. Damon and DeVito are in, along with some other great performances. The other thing is back to the ACA, I'll say, was flawed, and it was compromised.
Yes.
You had, the setting is in 2009, Obama just became president, and you had, I believe, a supermajority in the Senate, and both houses were Democratic.
And this changed in 2 years.
Yeah, this seemed like at this point Obama introduced him and other Democratic congressmen introduced what would become the ACA. And in the original version, this was like a step towards a major step towards
Medicare for all.
Medicare for all.
That was supposed to be the end. Like, it was supposed to be the first step to getting us to universal health care in this country.
Yes, and they literally could have done it, and they choked because a vocal minority in the Republicans made some blue dog Democrats wet their pants.
Yeah,
and
not that that's difficult.
No, it's not. And they threw out socialism, and anytime socialism. Again, you're
socialism boogeyman.
Even though all these other capitalist countries have it, and it doesn't work for anybody except for everybody else in the world.
Yeah.
But I will, and like I said, Obama got rid of the more socialist elements, but I will say 2 good things happened out of it. Number one, as mentioned earlier, pre-existing conditions were taken out,
and the fact that it was like not a crappier version of what they were originally planning, and it was still revolutionary, tells you just how sad things were before this. Anyway, I'm sorry.
The other one is it did expand Medicaid for, at the time, 47 million Americans that could not get their hands on it.
That was a big deal too.
It made it more accessible for in general. Now, does it have flaws? Absolutely.
Yes. And it was supposed to be the first step. It wasn't supposed to be the end step.
Again, for those who do have to go into the marketplace, say like people like us, it's still not an accessible thing. Like, if you're in that danger zone between being too rich for Medicare but too poor for the marketplace, you're kind of screwed.
The marketplace is the ACA.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, if you're too rich for Medicaid,
Oh, I'm sorry.
you're too rich for Medicaid or too poor for the marketplace, you're in that gray area. That means you're not going to get jack, and that's where the Affordable Healthcare Act failed.
And
but it's better than it was, but there's a
huge difference. But if the Republicans hadn't gotten control 2 years after this and just worked on chipping parts away at it, and they kept refining it, it would have gotten to a much better place.
Yeah.
Of course, then in 2016, Trump gets into power and
he tried real hard.
He wanted to get rid of it. But see, the thing was, he kept saying, we're going to have the best plan. We're going to come up with a big, beautiful plan. And it'll be so good. And it'll be so much better than Obamacare.
And he just had golden gut bed cannons.
He just didn't do anything.
No.
There was no plan. He just kept saying, we're going to come up with something. Yeah. And they just didn't.
We're going to send coupons to everyone in the mail. You'll get 10% off heart surgery. It'll be amazing.
And so then Biden comes in and does absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I want to go back to was it 2000, either 17 or 18, where they did try to get rid of Obamacare.
There were like, what, 30-some votes?
And literally, I believe McCain on his deathbed or whatever, got up and was the one vote in the Senate. Yeah, McCain.
No, he voted for it multiple times. He voted for repealing it multiple times. I was so mad at John McCain.
No, that was for the...
No, that was for the ACA.
No,
I remember watching the vote.
Yeah. But he was the one guy that did, was it for, I believe it's the ACA. Yeah.
No, he voted 3 times to repeal it. Before that, he had been voting to keep it as it was, and then he flipped his vote, and it was right before he died. Maybe it was 2 times. It was 2 votes, but I was so mad at him. I was so mad at him.
But like I said, they failed.
It failed multiple. Yeah, there was something ridiculous. It was 20, 30 some votes.
Yeah,
within 2 or 3 years.
This is basically one of the things, along with minimum wage, that made Kirsten Sinema and the guy from
Joe Manchin
into the centrist villains that they are today. I don't know if Sinema's there anymore.
I don't think she is. I think she lost her.
Manchin, I believe, they said he's stepping down.
He's stepping down.
But that just opens it up for a huge Republican.
At some point.
I believe,
it's West Virginia. So, come on.
Yeah. So,
who are they going to fucking put in?
But
anyway, there was also something else that happened during the Trump administration. People on disability are already forced into poverty in this country. Social Security, disability, and Medicare. Trump made it much harder for them because now a portion of their payments that they get every month has to be taken out to pay for Medicare, their Medicare access. So my ex-husband was on Social Security disability, and he was making about $830 some bucks a month on disability. After Trump did this, okay, so $800 a month, you can't live on that as it is, because apparently in this country, if you're disabled, you're not allowed to have money unless you're Greg Abbott. But so then out of that, he was paying $150 to $200 a month for access to Medicare, which, that's kind of the point of being on disability, is that you're disabled and you need health care. So these people had almost no money, and because of Trump, they had even less money because part of their payments were being removed in order to keep them given access to the thing that they needed to have to be on disability in the first place. So it's as if they weren't already living in poverty, they were living in more extreme poverty. And if they got married to someone, they could potentially lose their disability if that person made over a certain amount of money, because that person is now considered their caretaker. It's pretty sick, actually. If you're interested in disability advocacy, I'll put it in YouTube if I remember. I'll put it in the comments. But there's a great person I follow. Her name is Imani Barbarin. She's a disability advocate. She talks about a lot of this stuff more into detail. But if you are disabled or if you want to learn more information about that kind of thing, definitely look her up online. I'll put some of her links down in the comments when I post this on YouTube tonight. But so yeah, in this country, basically, if you are disabled, you're going to be poor. There are, if you can't, like I work, I'm still disabled, but I work as much as I can. I'm still poor. I still get Medicaid. It's kind of a death sentence. It's not a death sentence, but it can be. But
it certainly feels like a life sentence.
It's a life sentence of poverty if you're disabled in this country. If you have the resources set up that you can go on disability, which is unbelievably difficult. You can't have worked for a year, but you still have to access medical care, which is not always possible. And you still have to have an active address. So you don't work for a year. Where are you going to live? Do you get thrown out? Are you unhoused now? Well, you can't get disability because you don't have an address.
It's funny how it overlaps like that. The healthcare system overlaps with the cycle of poverty, and it's like
it really does. It really, really does.
When you become again, I've seen plenty of people homeless, and I have people friends like, well, why don't they just go and get a job? So do you know how difficult it is to get a job when you don't have an address?
Yeah. What? Like, yeah. I mean, there are jobs that check people's credit scores, for God's sake. Yeah. Like, what are you going to do? Yeah. All right, and you show up, you have no access to a shower or clean clothes unless you live in a city big enough to, have resources like that. So, okay, if you're in Altoona, all right, we do have shelters here sometimes when it gets cold, especially. Otherwise, you're sleeping on the street. You have maybe a change of clothes or two. You have to go into like a sheets bathroom and get cleaned up.
And risk at any of those points getting harassed by the cops. And
yeah.
And that's another thing to go. And then at that point, you get thrown into the prison system, and then you have to deal with that whole can of worms.
And then you have to wear that around your neck like a fucking albatross. So it's not just I am unhoused trying to go to work. I am unhoused and have a criminal record, and I'm trying to go to work.
Yeah.
It's really bad in this country. So, all right. So so disability is basically like, unless you have a huge support system, and that support system can literally financially support you, you're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
It's impossible. And if, say, you get disability, you're living on $500 to $1,000 a month. $1,000 is unlikely. I've never heard of anybody being on $1,000 for disability unless they were working like a really, really high paying job, like in the tech sector, or like doing not like construction jobs, but like working in
some sort of professional circuit.
That kind of a world, working in like the trades or something, where you're like a union carpenter, union plumber, or something like that. But it's damn near impossible to access. And all right, so so Biden comes in and he starts to implement a few things. He implemented a cap on insulin at $35. And he implemented for elderly people on retirement Medicare. Medicare Part B? I don't know. Whatever the type of Medicare that retired people get. He instituted a cap on prescriptions for them too. It wasn't enough, but it was a good thing.
I think also recognition of certain trans care.
Yeah,
through
that
the,
too.
through the Biden administration, which again,
That it basically was like, yes, trans people are here. Trans people deserve gender affirming care. You know, they are valid and their medical needs are valid.
Yeah.
That was a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Like, that is no longer there. So Trump is now in office, and he's destroyed all of those caps that the Biden administration put on prescriptions. Super fun. And he has basically Doge has healthcare on the cutting block, Medicaid and SNAP benefits, food stamps, which, you know what, we also get. We're poor. Yeah. We get food stamps. I'm not ashamed of it. And fuck you if you think we should be. I mean, we both have jobs. We both pay taxes. We fucking disconnected again. All right. You see how I fit that in there very nicely? All right. We're reconnecting again.
Reconnecting to the system, having minor technical difficulties. Well, they'll never hear this piece of us having minor technical difficulties.
But it'll be on YouTube.
Woo! You're gonna get this. You won't see it live, but you'll see it in our cut footage. La 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 la. La 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 la. Gonna see our live sex scene.
What? I didn't agree to that.
Okay.
That's not in my contract. All right.
Okay. You'll never believe what happened.
Yeah. Penguins and BSDM and
yeah, woo.
Jello. Anyway, Medicaid is on the chopping block now. It's been on. Basically, Trump has said that he came into office saying, we're going to destroy this, and they haven't yet. As of now, it is not. It is going to remain in place until September, how it was under the Biden administration. But come September, they're already planning to gut it, to make it harder for people to access it, which means that, Dan might be on it. I'm going to be kicked off. That's why I've had, tried to get in to get my sinus surgery taken care of. I got to get that dentist name off of you. I got to make a dentist appointment.
Yeah.
Trying to get just all of this shit taken care of before I get kicked off, because I know I'm going to get kicked off. Because they're going to make it tougher for us. I'm going to get kicked off of food stamps, not going to be able to access medical care, even though I take medications regularly. And a lot of people are going to die. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
People have already died since Trump got rid of the prescription, the insulin cap. People are back to hoarding, or not hoarding, but they're back to
basically rationing
their insulin, and people have died because of it. I
literally know people that have rationed and either have slipped into comas, have had some form of cardio incident, have some form of gone into septic shock, multiple different problems because I think on top of what they're doing now, like Doge, what Doge isn't gutting.
The reconnect. Did we go down again? Oh my god. All right. I say that it's 4:30. I say we just finish up on the recording.
Yeah.
And just.
All right.
If it reconnects, it reconnects. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
All right.
Oh, no, we're connected.
All right, hey guys, we're back.
Again, sorry about that, everybody.
But I guess what's not being done with Doge, on the other end, is being through the appointment of several corrupt cronies through various different departments. Mm-hmm. The most visible of which is RFK Jr.
Yes.
Being put in charge of Health and Human Services.
Oh, and also they haven't they've made it harder for people to access benefits online and via phone for seniors who need health care through their own Medicare. That's something fun. They haven't destroyed that, but they're just making it way more difficult for seniors to be able to actually access benefits. And there's a very large backlog in seniors who, are retiring, who need to get on Medicare, who can't because their offices are basically being run by skeleton crew via Doge.
Yeah.
Doge cuts.
But Kennedy's philosophy basically is counteractive. It's kind of like appointing what's it that place that sells you the supplements, GMS or whatever.
Oh, GNC. Yeah.
It's kind of appointing like a guy that does GNC and works out at the local health club and says, all you gotta do is take these supplements and do 10 minutes on an hour on the treadmill and do all these weights and you'll be just fine.
Yeah. And Kennedy has done things like, being autistic people, he wants to put us on a registry because we'll never be able to hold jobs and we'll never be able to pay taxes and we'll never have relationships with anyone. And it's ridiculous.
Relationships.
And he is, Trump administration is basically, since day one, trans people do not exist anymore, according to the Trump administration. So there is not only no protections anymore for trans people, but healthcare for trans people has been destroyed completely. People in the trans community have been hoarding HRT, because they don't know what's going to happen. They're scared. There was another thing. What was vaccines. Basically, there are going to be no more updated COVID vaccines. And in fact, there may not be any updated vaccines for a while. So that's going to be fun.
And so many other organizations on top of Health and Human Services, or ones that are at least umbrellaed under there, things like the CDC.
Yes, the CDC, the FDA.
Again, pulling out of the World Health Organization.
Yes, exactly. And so also, because conservatives love destroying regulations and letting people get sick, places like the CDC, the FDA are not doing, health checks for things as much as they should. The CDC is not paying attention to, they're not paying attention to COVID outbreaks. They're not paying attention to measles outbreaks.
Yes, which we had a major outbreak.
There are
hundreds of cases.
Yes, hundreds of cases.
And only 10 to 15 years ago was thought of eradicated in the States. So if this is like the harbinger of what's to come, what's next? Smallpox comes back?
Probably. Polio is making a resurgence somewhere in the world. Mm-hmm. I can't remember where, but there have been cases of polio. I want to say it's somewhere in the south of Africa, Central or South Africa. Polio is making a comeback. And also Ebola in the same region. And basically the U.S. has dismantled anyone who would be able to help stop the polio outbreak and the Ebola outbreak.
Yeah, like apparently this is one of the things that Musk did admit. It's like, oh, oopsie, we got rid of the Ebola task force. It's like,
that was just
we'll get those back, we promise.
But also, like, anybody working in doing like goodwill healthcare in other countries, decimated. There is nobody left to help with that. And it's bad. It's really bad. It's going to be bad for us.
And we see it as kind of like Trump's whole policy is America first, and they don't see that like we live on a global stage with global interaction.
Yeah, we cannot be insular anymore, especially considering that we have no infrastructure for it.
We can't afford to be insular when we interact with other countries in the world, and if we're not helping them out and them not helping us out, we're not in an interactive basis with each other, a reciprocal interactive basis, that things eventually will come back to visit us. And one of those being worldwide pandemics. Trump continues what he did in his first term and his second term, which it looks like he's going to amp up significantly, we're going to be stuck in a situation where COVID will look like a fond memory in comparison.
Yeah. And COVID is still out there. We're still masking. You should mask too, because it's been shown to have significant cognition decline over multiple infections. So that's something to keep in mind. Yeah. And, but yeah, like COVID will be the least of our worries.
Yeah.
It's going to get really bad. Yeah.
This is an uplifting episode. I just wanted to let you know. Like, I mean,
God damn.
I mean, what?
You won't be able to eat food because you'll get sick because nobody's checking them.
Yeah.
You won't be able to breathe the air because there's going to be so full of
no EPA, no USDA.
No, the EPA is gone. The USDA is gone. Have fun eating prions in your beef and having your brain fall apart on you.
Mad cow.
Yes. Exactly. This is a possibility. It's just, it's not really, I mean, I guess this stuff is tangential to healthcare, but
it all affects.
Yeah, it all is like tied in together, and you know,
it's all on a systemic web.
Yeah, it is, and it's bleak, and it's going to be bleak going forward. And Trump is already talking about running again for a third term, which he legally can't do, but.
No, what's that thing they call? Oh yeah, the Constitution.
Oh yeah, because he really
he loves Article 2 that says I can do whatever I want.
But anyway, I have some stuff written down. I don't know. Okay, private health insurance in the year 2022 cost $1.9 billion. In fiscal year 2023, CMS, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, I don't know what these numbers mean, but it was $1.68 billion. According to Yale Epidemiology, if we went for Medicare for all, it would reduce spending by $450 billion a year and save estimated 220,000 lives per year. I mean, that's pretty huge. That's half of the city of Altoona.
Yeah.
That would be saved. Care Medicaid. On Forbes, via Forbes, $590 a month on average on the ACA. I don't know what that means. I wrote this like a month and a half ago. I knew what it meant then.
I lost all context in that 6 weeks afterwards.
Yeah, but I think the thing from Yale Epidemiology is pretty damning, that it would reduce spending by $450 billion. But the thing is, Medicaid, if we lose Medicaid helps service doctors in rural areas. It helps support the infrastructure. So like there will be a lot of failures in people who access healthcare via private healthcare also, because Medicaid provides a support system, not just for people like us who are disabled and poor and need healthcare, but it also provides a support system for people who do work predominantly with private health insurance. And we all do pay for private health insurance too. You know, it's not like private health insurance is just being paid for by the people who use it. It's being subsidized by all of us, quite frankly. And we're all losing money on it. And we would lose a lot less money on it if we went for Medicaid for all, because it would reduce spending for $450 billion a year in this country. That's for all of us across the board, not just people who use it or people who fund it. Everyone.
And beyond just the fiscal numbers, it's a matter of like if you don't believe that healthcare is a basic human right, you believe, like I said, you believe people deserve to die or be suffering from preventable illness or preventable or injury.
Just because they're poor.
They don't have enough money, or they don't have means, or in your mind, they didn't work hard enough. They didn't save enough money. they didn't make the right choices.
To not be. It's funny. My dad actually said that to me once. Like, so over. He's like, well, you'll just have to work extra hard. It's like, what about me being disabled do you not get? I literally cannot. I work as hard as I can. Okay. There's reasons why I don't talk to my dad because he's terrible. But it's like people are just like, you just have to work harder.
It's a very
You literally can't. You don't deserve to die because you were born with a disability or you became disabled. Because, like, guys, we all become disabled eventually. That is life. And if you think it's not going to happen to you, it will eventually. You might not spend as much time disabled as people like me who have been living like this for decades, but it's going to happen to you too. And you're going to need the resources just as much as the rest of us.
Yeah, you live long enough, the inevitability of becoming disabled goes to 100%.
Exactly. Yes. You can't escape it unless you, like, die in a bus crash or something, or a freak accident. You know, if you live to die of natural causes at an old age, you're going to become disabled.
Yeah.
So make sure that it's there for you too. You know, it's like people should not have to die horribly just because they were born with a medical problem.
There's a term that doesn't get used enough in this world now, especially in this country, and the term is called public good.
Yes. Yes, that is something that we have forgotten in our society.
Yeah.
There was a time when people with lots of money built universities and paid for people to go to school and built parks and libraries. They usually did terrible things to get that money, but at least there was some sense of, well, I have to give back to society for public good. You know, I'm trying to develop a nonprofit organization so I can build community gardens in poor neighborhoods in Blair County, you know, because I haven't forgotten that public good, that, you know, that I got a fucking break, you know, in life, like financially. My parents are rich. I'm not rich, but my parents have a decent amount of money and they helped me pay off my house early. And I need to turn around and do something good to help other people who don't have that. That's, to quote Muhammad Ali, service to others is the rent that you pay for your room here on earth. And that's something that we've forgotten. And this country was never good at it in the first place because we're all very, yay capitalism, yay individuality, yay, you know, taking care of you, being a cowboy, yay, taking care of your own shit.
Communism is so queer.
Is bad. Socialism is bad, but it's like that's how we function and survive as a society. Capitalism drives us apart.
Your individual
and kills us.
We focus so much on individualism, is like we forget that like your individual rights are only really secured in the way that they are because you live in a society.
Exactly. Yes. Pretty depressing. This is a depressing episode.
Yeah, but and I'm saying, like, if you want to do something, get out there and contact your local congressman about these issues.
Yes, if nothing else, send letters to your congress people.
Harass them.
Yeah.
Make their life miserable. Let them remember that they are public servants.
And if they make you mad, eat a bunch of really gassy fried food and go just crop dust the shit out of their office.
Yeah. That being said, the hope is that this country will finally realize that Medicare for all, universal health care in this country is the way that we need to go.
We are getting into the find out part of the fuck around and find out of the Trump administration. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, people are being deported. People are going missing. People can't afford food. People can't, you know.
People don't care until it affects them personally.
Yeah.
Now we're getting to the point where
it is starting to actually affect them personally.
Like,
yeah.
Oh no, Julio at my favorite Mexican restaurant is not going to be able to serve me anymore. My world is fucked.
Yeah. But oh no, I got fired from the government by Doge and now I can't afford food.
Yeah. Oh no.
Well, I guess it's a good thing that somebody out there is, donating food to food banks so that you can show up, no questions asked, and get food to feed yourself and your family.
Yeah. We're trying to find an uplifting end to this.
It's not going to come. It's going to be. It's
that kind. We're trying really hard, folks.
We should have brought our cat over and had him dance.
Yeah. I think we're just going to get some needles and shoot up some heroin or something like that.
No, because my name is not RFK.
Oh, okay.
Junior. And you know what?
We can't afford heroin.
Mad at me for saying that, he said in a congressional hearing that I'm a heroin addict because I use a low dose of an SSRI. He doesn't like SSRIs. I'm not a heroin addict because I use a low dose of SSRI for my anxiety. So he can fuck himself. Yeah. But look,
there's a picture of our cat.
Look, it's our kitty. It's Tony. Yay, Tony. And there's Chetty being buried under the laundry. Yay.
He's worrying about healthcare right now.
No, he just wants dinner.
Yeah, which we all do.
And there's Wookie disemboweling the toy fishy. Yay.
Now don't you feel so much better that this nation's going down the toilet? You saw cat pictures. I feel so much
sleepy Chetty.
Oh my God. Look at him. I got worried that he's got some sort of fatal infection or heart disease. No.
Oh, look, it's the flowers I got at the library.
Those flowers don't worry about healthcare. Oh, that's so good.
I got flowers for helping out with the program where they had flowers.
They probably will have some sort of STD.
Oh, don't say that. They're carnations. They're pretty.
They have carnations.
Oh, look, it's a funny cat glove from the youth room. That's very accurate.
Preventable illness. RFK hates cartoon cats. Oh, no.
Let's see.
Kurt Vonnegut.
Oh, look at the Kurt Vonnegut.
Oh, my God, Kurt Vonnegut.
I wanted to read. I took a picture.
We'll never be able to read it because we're going to be dead from butt cancer in 5 minutes. Oh, my God. I can feel the butt cancer working now. Oh, there it goes my left cheek. Oh, man.
Oh, look, it's the summer ween sign I made for my library display.
Yay. Oh, man. That guy died.
Oh, look at Sleepy Tony.
Sleepy Tony. Oh, my God.
Oh, look at him. Oh, look at him.
He needs a brain transplant. Oh, my God.
I mean, he does, but I was going to say it. All right. So there's no way to end this on a happy note. Yeah. Because things in this country are terrible. Oh, my God.
Everyone has leukemia.
Yeah.
Don't you feel better now, folks?
No, I don't.
All right.
I think we should end this and go get dinner.
Some Indian food.
Yeah, we're going to go make Indian food.
Yeah.
Because it's Monday.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for an hour of depression.
Enjoy your leukemia.
Everybody has, what's the word? Starts with an I? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I have a bad case of the Wang Chung in my junk.
You're a dog?
In my junk.
Oh.
I have a bad case of Wang Chung. And now everybody will be Wang Chunging tonight.
Yep. I've been Wang Chunging for years.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you guys later. I want to go get dinner.
Yeah.
We're getting punchy. Let's go. Bye.
Go away.